Good afternoon to all. We are gathered here at the Methodist Cemetery in Deep Bay, Capistere, at the gravesite of Owen William Caines, not only a son of the soil from Deep Bay, but one who throughout the years has been remembered for his tremendous contribution to the labor movement here in St. Kitts-Nevis. And with us this afternoon to witness this brief ceremony, we have our Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, who is also the political leader of our party, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. We have his wife as well, Mrs. Drew, who is here with us. And my other colleagues in Parliament, the Honourable Conwys Maynard, the Honourable Dr. Joel Clark. Also, we have the representative, that is caretaker for constituency number 5, Sandy Point, that is Kenny Douglas, and the distinguished family members, especially children of Mr. Owen William Caines. And represented here as well, we have Dr. Hanley, who is the Deputy Prime Minister and one of our deputy leaders of our party. Traditionally, we come here during the celebration of Labor Day, or Workers' Day, or May Day, as it is described in some countries. It is when we remember those who have utilized their time here on earth to not only ensure that their own families would have been cared for, but for the entire nation as a family, where Owen Caines in particular served as one of the leaders in the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union, and also sat in the Parliament of St. Kitts-Nevis as a senator. We remember him because we believe that the labor movement here in this country would have started in a tremendous way the work that would have been achieved in the advancement of our people and, of course, our country. And so on this occasion, we simply, in this pilgrimage, which will start here in Deep Bay, will then take us to St. Paul's, Capistere, the Anglican Church. We will then go to St. Peter's in the St. Peter's Monkey Hill area. And then we will finally go to the Springfield Cemetery in Bastia at the gravesites of all of those who, like Owen Caines, would have made a tangible contribution in the life of workers and generally in the transformation of St. Kitts-Nevis and its people. This simple ceremony is to ensure that their works, their lives are never forgotten. And every year, we of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Movement, that is, the union and the party, remember them in this particular way. Thank you. We will now, of course, as is traditional, and I just saw the National Secretary of our party, and the CEO of the party's office, Mr. Alfred, who has just given the wreath to one of Owen's daughters, who would be now laying it in memory of his service. And of course, we here to show appreciation to the family of his service. Thank you, my dear. We now move on to St. Paul's, as I said before, and we link up with you again in a few minutes. Thanks.
Good afternoon, and we are back. We are here. We are gathered here at the Anglican Church grave site, the site of Charles E. Mills. And with us, we have, of course, our distinguished Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Dew. We have our two deputy leaders, the Honorable Jeffrey Hanley, and of course, Conwys Maynard. With us, we also have our Senior Minister, Dr. Denzel Douglas. We also have with us Dr. Joy Clark here with us. And the wife, yes, of our Prime Minister is also here. We have the Secretary of our great party. And also we have the lovely wife of Mr. Charles E. Mills along with his son. We are gathered here today, as usual, to pay homage to Charles E. Mills, a son of the soil who was once the parliamentary representative from this area, all the way from Sandy Point to St. Paul's and to Sadler's. That's correct. I want to say that we are gathered here because this man, he has paid tremendous support and contribution to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, not just in his own constituency, but all over the Caribbean. He was once the Minister of Education. He was once the Minister of Social Services and Telecommunications, that's right. And I think in 2007 it was very important that his name was put on the school in Sandy Point, Charles E. Mills Secondary School. This is something that we say is very, very important because he was the one who really championed the cause for secondary education here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so we want to pay homage to him for all the contribution that he has made to the people of his constituency and in St. Kitts and Nevis in general. Today we have his wife here, and his wife always have something prepared. I want to wish her happy birthday. She made 97 years old just the other day in March, and I just want to say congratulations to you, and that your husband is a grand man, a big man of this country. I now turn over to you.
Comrades all. Today, I lay this wreath. Where is it?
You're going to get it, right? Yes, it's right here.
I lay this wreath in memory of my beloved husband, Charles E. Mills, who humbly served this country for many years. On his behalf, I leave this message to the labor leaders. It is found in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 10 and 13. So, my dear comrades, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you.
Amen.
That's it.
Thank you.
And now it's time to lay the beat, and we are going to use, of course, his lovely wife and his son, Charlie. And this brings us to the end of the second chapter of our wheat laying ceremony. We'll be now moving to St. Peter's. See you in a few minutes.
Good afternoon to everyone. So the wreath laying ceremony resumes, and we are here at the St. Peter's Anglican Churchyard, here to lay a wreath for Clarence Bryant. I'll ask for the invocation.
Thank you very much, Precious Mills, representative from the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union. Let me, of course, recognize this afternoon the Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts-Nevis and the Deputy Leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, the Honourable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, to recognize the Leader of Government Business in our Parliament and Deputy Leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, the Honourable Conway Maynard. I want to recognize the Honourable Samuel Duggins, and MP for constituency number 4 as well, and to recognize His Excellency Ambassador Kenneth Douglas, who is here with us this afternoon, and the representative from the union, of course, Precious Mills, and Mr. Kevin Hodge, who is also here. To recognize the Honourable Sam Conda, who is a past MP and member of the union as well, and Mrs. Conda, who is here, and all the other comrades who are here with us this afternoon. Those who had been in leadership, I see Ms. Joan Phillip, who is here as well, who would have held executive position right here in this constituency. I want to take this opportunity to really recognize the work by His Excellency, as he was, Clarence Bryant, who once served as the MP for this constituency, constituency number 8. But he was also the Minister of Health and Minister of Education. His contribution to the development of this area and the contribution that he made to the development of St. Kitts-Nevis must never, ever be forgotten. Because of his contribution, today we have comprehensive secondary education, as he was part of the team that led that into the life of St. Kitts-Nevis, and also his hard work to make health care available to all of our people as well. I know he's not known to be a Minister of Health, but yes, he was a Minister of Health as well. The college is named after him because of the revolutionary ideas and policies that he brought forward, and these policies continue to have tremendous impact on our life here, our socio-economic development here in St. Kitts-Nevis. And so, on this Labour weekend, leading up to Labour Day, a day when we recognize our workers here in St. Kitts-Nevis, we want to really remember him for his tremendous contribution and never ever forget what he would have contributed, even though he is no longer with us. And to his family, we want to really thank them for their own sacrifice for serving at this level. Takes sacrifice, and many times the family has to sacrifice as well. And therefore, we want to let the nation know that we pay homage to Clarence Bryant, a son of the soil who has contributed significantly to our development. And when I say son of the soil, we know that he was not born here physically, but he, of course, became a member of our communities, and he also became a citizen. And so he has demonstrated that even though he was not born here, he could have contributed significantly to our development. And so all-inclusive movement, even from back then, demonstrates that all are needed in nation building. And so we want to thank him, thank his family for the tremendous contribution that he has given. Long live Clarence Fitzroy for his tremendous contribution. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are gathered here at the St. Peter's Anglican Church to lay a wreath in honor of an education pioneer of St. Kitts-Nevis and past General Secretary of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union, the Honourable Clarence Bryant. My name is Kevin Huggins, and I have the privilege of serving as the youngest member of the Executive Committee of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union. It is with great respect and gratitude that I offer a few words today as we honor the legacy of someone whose contributions and principles still resonate deeply with us. When we think about the late Comrade Fitzroy Bryant, one of the first things that comes to mind is education. His passion for learning and his commitment to ensuring access to knowledge for everyone, no matter their background. As a union, we are proud to have had someone like Comrade Bryant among our leadership. He voluntarily organized English classes through the union, not for praise or personal benefit, but because he truly cared about helping others grow and succeed. His legacy is deeply rooted in the transformation of education in our country. In 1997, the institution once housed in Cunningham Complex was fittingly renamed the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College in honor of his contributions as a former Minister of Education and a tireless advocate for learning. Comrade Bryant's vision led to the introduction of tertiary education programs, including part-time studies through the University of the West Indies. He also helped establish both the Teachers Training College and the Technical and Vocational College, helping to make education more inclusive and within reach of the working class. As a young member of the union, I find this especially inspiring. His revolutionary approach broke down barriers that had stood for generations, making education more accessible for people like me and for so many of us here today. We honor him not just with our wealth, but with a promise to continue championing the power of education. It is through learning that we gain the tools of empower ourselves, uplift our communities, and shape a better future. So again, we salute the late great comrade Clarence Fitzroy Bryant. May his values and his legacy continue to live on in each of us today.
We'll now have the Wreath Lane, and I want to take this opportunity to call on, the General Secretary of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union to lay a wreath in his honor. All right, thank you very much. And this has brought this very short but significant ceremony at the St. Peter's Anglican Churchyard to an end. We now move on to the Springfield Cemetery, where we will honor other fallen comrades. Thank you very much, and see you at Springfield. Good afternoon. We are here at the grave site for National Sir Bradshaw. JP. This ceremony will be brief but significant. The Prime Minister, so he also Duggins, a lot of senses, and see. With from as well. Mr. Sebastian, all of the other here as well.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Drew. All protocols observed. I wish to say how pleased I am to be given this opportunity yet again to say a few words on this annual pilgrimage that we pay to the memory by visiting the grave sites of our fallen heroes. If there is one person who is completely accepted as a national hero, it would be the Right Excellent Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw, who was not only our first national hero, but also one who is described as the father of this Twin Island Federation, St. Kitts-Nevis. Why do we describe him as the father of our nation? It was he who, leading the labor movement since in the early 50s, was able to transition and transform this country of ours. It was he who recognized the importance of ownership of the economic development pillars of our country and nationalized the sugar industry, which was the mainstay of our economy at that time. But he didn't stay there. It was under his leadership that his deputy, Caleb Azariah Paul Southwell, whom we shall speak of later, we saw the transitioning of the economy in terms of realizing that one day sugar would not be around, and thus began the transitioning of the economy to tourism. Mr. Bradshaw was not only a labor leader of St. Kitts-Nevis, he was a labor leader globally. And today, we say again, thank you, Sir Robert, because not only in terms of the economy of our country, not only in terms of ensuring that the workers of this country, whether in the cane field or otherwise, would have their rights. But he also, to a large extent, was responsible for the foundational changes that took place in the education system here in St. Kitts-Nevis. And when there was the time in our country in the 60s when only one person from a primary school would get into a secondary school and secondary education, it was him who provided a scholarship for students who are doing well, especially in the St. Paul's region, provided the opportunity to go into a secondary school education system. Today, I am the beneficiary of that scholarship, and I'm proud to say that he gave me the opportunity that I've had in life. We know that each of us has to go, but if it was one man who has left, and we were so saddened for his departure, that today, as we've done traditionally for years, come to his graveside and say, thank you, Sir Robert. Thank you for what you've done. God bless you as you are now with your Maker. His granddaughter is here. And we are proud to have her as always, with her stepfather and stepmother, her father and stepmother, to lay the wreath at the graveside of our fallen national hero. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, and I want to say thanks also to his granddaughter for the laying of the wreath. We will now move on to another grave site of another fallen and see site. Thank you very much.
My name is Precious Mills. I'm the General Secretary of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union. We resume the Wreath Lane session, and we are here at the gravesite of Sir Lee Llewellyn Moore. And I would say that he, like many others who we're honoring today, has been a pioneer in the labor movement, and the union, of course, salutes his contribution. I will now hand over to the parliamentary representative of constituency number 4, Honorable Samuel Duggins, to give some remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Mills. And all protocols observed, I wish to state how distinct of an honor it is for me to stand here with the team in honoring and recognizing the contributions of a great stalwart. Sir Moore was more than just a leader of the movement. He was more than just a legal luminary. He was someone who championed justice all throughout. And his legacy stands strong even up to this very day. He stood for regional unity. He championed justice not just in the courtroom, but also championed justice in the streets. And he championed justice in the hearts of many, because he fought for all of us to come together and for the country to be not just recognized as who we are, but recognized within the region as a body. Sir Lee Moore is someone who also came from humble beginnings. A young man growing up in the streets of Godwin-Gut and Halfway-Tree, coming from the constituency which I now have the privilege to lead, constituency number 4. He also represented that same constituency. And as a young man coming up, when I look at the shoes to be filled, as big as they are, I hope I'm granted the strength, the determination, and the wherewithal to at least fit in a portion of those. We recognize him today because he stood tall as a member of the union and a great leader there, but also a great leader of our party and altogether the entire movement. A movement that has championed the rights for workers, justice for all, and the forward movement of our entire nation and region. And so today, as we pay tribute to a giant of a man, a luminary across the board, I am honored to lend my own contribution to his legacy and to his honor. And today we have his granddaughter, Miss Leah, who would lay a wreath in his honor and his service. So I welcome her to do the honors of laying the wreath for Sir Lee Llewellyn Moore, QC. Great leader, great man, champion of the movement.
We have now come to the end of this brief ceremony, and we'll move quickly to the next gravesite of another fallen hero. See you there. Thank you.
We are here at the gravesite of St. John Payne, another pioneer in the labor movement, and I would invite Ambassador Leon Nato Nelson to give some remarks.
Good afternoon, all. Thank you, Precious. I must say good afternoon and acknowledge the leadership of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, the Honourable Leader of the party, Honourable Dr. Terence Jew, Deputy Prime Minister and Leader of the party as well, Honourable Jeffrey Handy, Honourable Conway Maynard, Leader of the party, other members of the Prime Minister's Cabinet, Minister Samal, Representative for number 4, Minister Marsha, Representative for number 2, Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Minister and Representative for constituency number 6, His Excellency Kenny Douglas, Representative for constituency number 5. All other invited guests, it is my privilege as we continue on this recognition of our stalwarts, fallen stalwarts and heroes of our country, that I am here to lend support and recognition for their service through the years. So Edmund St. Just Payne is no stranger to the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. He has been and worked hard for the people of St. Kitts-Nevis. He was a former Minister of Agriculture, Land and Housing. However, his appointment to work under the Labour government at the Social Security, I think, where he made a significant impact on the lives of the people of St. Kitts. As we transition from the Providence Funds, St. John Payne was given the task under the Labour leadership to make the way forward for our social security. In fact, I think it was under the Minister Sam Kando at that time, who gave the speech when his name was etched on the Social Security building as the St. John Payne Annex, as a part of his recognition for his hard work in the Social Security area, but not just on a ministerial level or government level. I have met the Payne family, and I must say, and I continue to recognize, that they are indeed proud of their father and the legacy that he has left behind in terms of the hard work that he did to move this country forward and to pave the way for people like myself to come along and continue the hard work in trying to develop the people of St. Kitts-Nevis. So again, I say to his family, thank you. I know Gareth and others are listening as usual. Thank you to them for their contribution, the sacrifice and the commitment by Mr. St. John Payne, not only as a member of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, but for what he did for the entire country and especially in the field of Social Security and all the works that he did under the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. Thank you, and God bless, and we recognize his contribution over the years.
Ambassador, and now invite you to lay the wreath.
once again. Oh. Good afternoon once again. We are here at the gravesite of Comrade Fidel O'Flaherty Sr., who was, as we know, a significant member and a leader in the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union. At this moment, I'll ask Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas to give brief remarks on the contribution and life of our departed comrade.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, National Leader, St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. Today, I feel very proud to be able to say a few words, not only in comfort to the family and friends of Fidel O'Flaherty, but to his comrades, fellow comrades in the movement who would have seen him operate at a very efficient level during his tenure of service. Fidel was not only the Assistant Secretary of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union, but he was also the Assistant Secretary to Sir Joseph Nathaniel France as the National Secretary of our party. Fidel, I would describe, was a restless comrade, always seeking out opportunities when he could better serve the interest of the movement. I remember when taking over the leadership of the party, it was Fidel who single-handedly took me to every single household in Central Bastia so that I would know who the comrades are of this movement. His efforts to put the party and the movement generally in a good light were never ever daunted. How many of us here can say that we were arrested, put in prison, deprived of the best opportunity to earn a living, even as a graduate with a degree? It was Fidel who suffered through those challenges in order to make the point that labor was better forever. My dear comrade, as we stand today at your gravesite, we remember you, remember your son, remember your dear children, and ask that God would continue to protect them and provide for them, now that you are no more to do that for them. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas. We'll now ask the union rep to lay a wreath in his honor. Thank you very much. We have now come to the end of very difficult. We'll move to another gravesite. See you at the next gravesite. Good afternoon. We are here at the gravesite of our youngest governor who served St. Kitts and
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. Allow me just to acknowledge the presence of our Honorable Prime Minister and comrade leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, our deputy political leaders and Deputy Prime Minister Jeffrey Hanley, Honorable Jeffrey Hanley and Honorable Conris Maynard, our senior minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, the representative for constituency number 4, the Honorable Samuel Duggins, our ambassadors, His Excellency Leon Nathan Nelson and His Excellency Kenneth Douglas, representatives of our sister movement, the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Trades and Labour Union. This afternoon, let me just say, it is not only for me a privilege but also an honor to be a part of this wreath laying ceremony for Sir Probyn Inniss, a remarkable man who served not just his country but his community well. Sir Probyn, I was fortunate to have served with him not just as a lawyer, but to me, what stands out more than his contribution to the legal profession was his contribution to this country. He served, as our Honorable Prime Minister says, as the youngest governor, and he would have served during his tenure with 3 changes in government. So he would have served with Sir Bradshaw, Southwell, Limor, and even with Dr. Kennedy Simmons. He was a man of integrity and stood on his beliefs to the extent that during his term, when he was asked as governor to assent to a piece of legislation that he felt was unconstitutional, he refused to assent, and ultimately he was removed as governor for St. Kitts and Nevis. The recommendation was made for his removal. As we lay the wreath in his honor this afternoon, it is a reminder to us for us to stand firm in our beliefs and our principle. Sir Probyn's legacy is also a clear reminder to us that men, and not just men, but women as well, of conviction are absolutely necessary to the progress of our nation. And so this afternoon, we honor him. We want to thank the members of his family, his Lady Inniss, his daughters and son, for his contribution to our country, to the legal profession, and to our communities. May he continue to rest in peace, eternal peace.
the Honorable Man. We will now move to
Yes, and we would love to welcome you back as we stand at the gravesite of another fallen comrade, one who has certainly contributed much to the development of St. Kitts-Nevis, the Honourable Glenn Ghost, as he's affectionately called, Phillip. This one, for me, is one that touches deeply. He was a personal friend. He was also the representative of a constituency which I now have the privilege to lead. And he was someone that worked at the time of his passing as an advisor within my ministry. And he has left big shoes to fill. But to tell you more of that, I would love to invite the Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas to speak to the life and legacy of a giant of a man. Dr. Douglas.
Thank you, Honourable Samuel. Of course, I not only recognize my colleagues of the government side who are here, but I recognize their wife, Mrs. Phillip, and their daughter, who is now taller than me. I want to recognize them both and others of the family. It could take us for the rest of the day to speak of the legacy and life of Glenn. Glenn came to national attention as a relatively young man because of his basketball prowess. He was so fast on the field of play, the court of play, that you never would see how quickly he would collect the ball and score. It was that national attention that brought him to the attention of the labor movement when I had the privilege and honor to be its leader. Did a poll just to find out who is the best person to lead us in number 4. And Glenn, his name jumped out at the time when I personally did not even know him. He came on board and he served. He served in a way that no one else could have served, and created history when he took the seat in constituency number 4. Served as a minister of government, young, brilliant minister, who of course had his own peculiar ways of saying things and doing things as well. But in all of this, he continued to attract the attention of people who loved him. His departure has been quite untimely. But the Master tends to take away from us those who are young, for he has, I would think, other purposes for them. Today, our Minister of Sports of late, our husband, our father, our colleague has gone. We believe he has gone to a better place. But although he has been that young, he has already etched himself into the annals of history, not only of the labor movement of St. Kitts-Nevis, but in the history of the governance and government of St. Kitts-Nevis. So today, having gone to the gravesites of those who would have been our grandfathers in the movement, we will never forget him. And so here we are at his gravesite to pay our own homage, to say thanks, and to say to his family, you live on, because he has lived for you and for all of us. Today, we will lay a wreath in memory of him, but also in memory of the great things he would have achieved for the people of St. Kitts-Nevis as a minister of government. May the Lord bless his soul. Thank you.
We have now come to the end of this brief ceremony, but very, very significant. And just to let his family know that our hearts and support are always with them. We go through the challenges together. We will now move to the grave site of another fallen hero. Thank you very much. Sorry for the slight delay due to technical difficulties. We are here at the gravesite of Sir Cuthbert Sebastian, longest serving Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis. We will ask the Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas to give brief remarks at this moment.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister and leader of the St. Kitts-Nevis Labour Party. In the presence of the dearly beloved of Dr. Sir Cuthbert Sebastian, that is his daughter, Emmeline, and her husband, the Honourable Samuel Duggins, and in the presence of the Cabinet of Ministers and officials of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labour Union, we again visit the gravesite of Sir Cuthbert Montraville Sebastian, our Governor General of St. Kitts and Nevis of the past. Sir Cuthbert stands out as being one of the most significant historical figures here in the history of our country. Not only was he the son of one of the founders of our great movement, but he also, at one time, attempted to serve the interest of the people of East Bastia as a candidate for our movement. But it is not only in that area that he would have served. Dr. Sebastian was one of our foremost gynecologists who at one time, it is said, would have delivered more than 50% of the children of St. Kitts in particular, if not St. Kitts and Nevis. Not only was he a doctor of well-established repute, but he also was to some extent an entrepreneur. One of those who, despite his busy schedule, would have found time to invest and provide opportunities for our people for employment and to sustain their livelihoods. But it is really in the area of service as the head of state that he will always be remembered by this movement. Dr. Sebastian was one who was very, very dear to me, gave me advice when I came home as a medical doctor as to how to set up my practice and where it should be established geographically. We will remember him. Not only him, but in remembering him, we remember his family, one of the founders of our great movement that today is still very, very strong. And so as we make this pilgrimage annually, we must make a stop here at his gravesite. And so we would have, on this special occasion, his own daughter, Emmeline, to lay the wreath that we have. Thank you, Emmeline.
Very much, Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas, and thank you for joining us at the gravesite of another fallen contributor to nation building, and we now move to another gravesite of another fallen hero. Thank you very much.
As we continue here with the wreath laying ceremony, we are here at the gravesite of Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, who served as General Secretary of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union. As the present General Secretary, I've heard many stories about Sir France. And one of the things that sticks out is his humbleness. I've heard so many stories about his humility and how he dealt with people. And that is really heartfelt. And so it is a privilege here to be part of today's ceremony. And I'll invite the parliamentary representative for constituency number 3, Honorable Convis Maynard, to impart some words.
Thank you, Precious. Pleasant good evening to everyone. And I acknowledge the presence, of course, of my colleagues, led by the Prime Minister and Party Leader, Deputy Prime Minister Hanley, Right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Honorable Samuel Duggins, Marsha Henderson, our ambassadors Natta and Douglas, and the family of Sir Joseph Nathaniel France. We are privileged to have with us an addition this year, a great niece of Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, her daughter and her grandson. So welcome to our annual pilgrimage, paying tribute to who was indeed a humble servant. So Joseph Nathaniel France traversed from Nevis, I think, at the tender age of 13 and fell in love, it appears, with St. Kitts and serving people, as he had a summer job at the Benevolent Society. He persuaded his parents to allow him to stay in St. Kitts, and he remained here until his death, serving with utmost humility, which I doubt anyone can match. Behind us is his longtime home, and we stand in his constituency that he led for 43 years as the longest serving member of Parliament. So Joseph Nathaniel France will be remembered forever for his service to people. And to honor that, even while he was living and still a young man, the General Hospital was named in his honor, the Sir Joseph Nathaniel France, for his outstanding contribution to the social services of this nation. We bow to Sir Joseph Nathaniel France because he showed us how service looks in humility. As I walk the constituency, in constituency number 3, I hear the stories, the many, many stories of his magnificent representation of the people. And so it is our privilege and our honor to always remember him every single year on the eve of Labor Day, where he did so much for the labor movement. In fact, he remains the longest serving General Secretary of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union, a position he held, I think, until his death in 1997. He is now one of our foremost national heroes, and we will forever cherish his contribution to this nation as an example and the epitome of humble service. May his soul rest in eternal peace, and may his family always know that we value the service of this tremendous giant, soft-spoken giant of high repute. May his soul rest in eternal peace, and I now invite the family to lay a wreath in his honor as we conclude this annual pilgrimage here for him before we head to the next and final stop. This is his son, Mr. France, and my fellow church mate. We now move to C.A. Paul Southwell for our final stop in this annual pilgrimage.
Face this way. Oh, okay.
And now, and now we're at our final stop here with the Wreath Lane ceremony at the gravesite of Sir C.A. Paul Southwell, and he served as vice president of the St. Kitts-Nevis Trades and Labor Union, long serving. And I too have heard stories about him, including the fact that he was Sir Robert Bratcher's right hand. And so it gives us pleasure here to bring these sentiments. And so I'll invite the Honorable Jeffrey Hanley, Parliamentary Representative for Constituency Number 1 and Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, Deputy Leader Honorable Conris Maynard, Senior Minister and former party right Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas, Honorable Matcha Henderson, Honorable Samuel Duggins, Union Reps, and of course our ambassadors Kenny and Leon, and Comrade Southwell here, the daughter of our fallen stalwart. It is indeed an honor for me every year since I became the parliamentary representative of constituency number 1 East Bastia, where our national hero served. Growing up as a child, I heard many stories, and I remember meeting him on a few occasions, attending political meetings and rallies with my mom. But the history has shown that he was the one who championed the cause for tourism in St. Kitts and Nevis, and made us number 1 also in manufacturing. And we are honored for his service. And today, as we traditionally would do, we pay tribute to our fallen leader who served as the second premier to Sir Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw. He ran in East Bastia, and I'm happy to be a part of the legal legacy following behind him. So we are going to present the wreath to his daughter, who is ever faithful, ever supportive, and to thank her and the entire family for loaning your dad to the Federation and also to the region. And his service will never be unnoticed. Thank you very much. Yes, I would. Go ahead. I have you. Yeah, come on. I'm gonna just put this stone to hide it.
We have now come to the end of our annual pilgrimage, a pilgrimage dedicated to the honoring and the remembrance of those on whose shoulders we stand today, those who gave selflessly so that St. Kitts-Nevis can stand out among nations, not only in the region, but in the world. We want to thank their families who have come out today and to further thank them for sharing their lives with us in a selfless way so that we could have benefited from their tenacity and their hard work. However, our journey continues over this weekend. I want to invite all to Central Bastia this evening for a grand public meeting where we will be speaking to workers of this country as to how we'll continue to advance lives. And then tomorrow, Monday, start 10 a.m. But all of us in the labor movement invite all of you. And we know this to an end, and we are happy that you were able to join us. Have a pleasant evening to all, and join us again next year as we make a similar pilgrimage. Thank you.
you.